Good afternoon, and welcome to How to DIY Your Marketing with Michael Anderson and Jansen Lenzi. They will be presenting for about an hour or so, and it'll be an interactive presentation. So get your cell phones ready so that you can participate with any QR codes. If you have questions, you can put them in the question box, and I will ask them as is appropriate or necessary. We'll probably do it at the changes. If you'd prefer to hold your questions till the end, that is fine as well. And if you miss anything, no big deal. We will send you this entire presentation in tomorrow morning's email for you. So that's all I have for you. We're gonna turn you over now to Jansen and Michael, and I will be just a disembodied voice if I need to be.
Thank you, Tony. Really appreciate that, and look forward to the email tomorrow as well. So, well, welcome everybody. As Tony said, my name is Michael Anderson. I'm the president of attendees Marketing. I was actually born into the funeral profession. So my grandfather started our funeral homes in Cincinnati back in 1945. My father took over. My uncle got involved, took over. I have a brother that's running our funeral homes on the west side of Cincinnati today. I got an aunt and a cousin that are all in the funeral profession. So come from a line within the profession. I actually took a different path. When I went to school, I actually went to pharmacy school at Butler University in Indianapolis. And after that, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 13 years in a variety of roles, from sales to alliance management, marketing, Six Sigma, sales management, and once again, marketing, which is what I love. And had the opportunity about 14 years ago to come back to the funeral profession. And it was 7 years ago where we were blessed to be able to start attendees Marketing. So attendees Marketing is a full service marketing agency that helps funeral homes across this country with their online and offline marketing needs. And so it's great to be here. You can see a picture of my family there, my wife, Kelly, and then Jake, Laney, Xavier, and Noah. And we live in Indianapolis. So great to be with you today. Chance, I'll turn it over to you. Oh, and you can tell my picture is a little bit updated. I look a little bit younger there, don't I?
Yes.
So, busted.
Mine's a little bit more recent. My name is Jansen Lenzi. I am the digital marketing manager for attendees Marketing. I handle all of our digital campaigns and initiatives. I help assist with our strategists and help assist our strategists with marketing strategies and execute on those strategies. I am from Burlington, Kentucky, which is nestled right up against Cincinnati, Ohio. So I am a diehard Bengals fan, and I would say a casual Reds fan. I live with my wife, Stacy, and our two sons, Birch, who is 7, and Jay, who turns 5 on July 6th. I've been working in digital marketing since 2017, and I really love being able to apply this knowledge to the funeral profession. And I'm especially excited to be here today to help you learn these crucial steps for getting your digital marketing off the ground.
Thank you. I'm gonna get a little closer to the screen. I understand my voice might be a little echoey, so if that is, let me know. Chance, we go on to the next slide. As Tony mentioned, you can pull out your phone, and if you have a moment, go ahead and scan this QR code for Slido, as we have some questions that we're going to ask, and everybody can play along. So we'll give you a moment to do that, or you can go to slido.com and enter that code. There's the uncomfortable pause while we're allowing people to do that.
Yeah, I like to bask in it.
Yeah, we can talk about the Reds game and the Reds' new pitcher who struck out the first 6 Yankees, which was a pretty big deal on his opening day, first game in the MLB.
Yeah, as a casual fan.
As a casual fan, yeah. All right, we will go ahead and move on to the next slide. So first question is, what are you most interested in learning about? Go ahead and fill that out. It's a little nerve-wracking. You don't know, hopefully we're going to cover everything you want to learn today, but if not, then you're giving us ideas for next year. Look at that, we can see people entering this pretty cool technology. Fantastic. So pay-per-click, obtain more leads, AI, digital and social.
I feel surprised AI came up.
Right. Yeah. So this is all perfect. Very good. All of these things we're going to be covering today. So I think that everybody dialed into the right place. All right. So as we begin, the objectives for today is we really want you to feel comfortable with the landscape of online marketing. There's a lot of different pieces out there. And if you joined us last year when we were on a webinar, we were talking about multi-platform marketing, multiple channel marketing, which is basically the idea that you don't need to do just one thing. You can do lots of things and have them all work together to generate leads and help you serve more families. Today, we're going to look at the dynamics of online, all the different tactics that are available to you. What are the risks? What are the benefits of each one? Because there are. And then how can they work in tandem, not just with your online marketing tactics, but your offline marketing tactics as well. So if I think about what did my grandfather do to start his funeral home back in 1945, some of those things, believe it or not, are still critically important today. But now we have the ability to take some of those things and have them work together with your online stuff. And ultimately, help you prepare or think through what would be a good marketing plan for your funeral home. Every market's different. Every funeral home is different. And so your marketing plan should be different also. And hopefully you'll be able to take some of the concepts today and apply that. But there are 3 things that you should be on the lookout for because these are really necessary resources. Number 1 is time. In the funeral profession, your calendar is dictated by the families as they come into your funeral home, and you got to take care of them. So time is a precious commodity for you and not one that you really have that much control over. And so you're gonna have to figure out a way to make sure that you are able to invest that time, especially up front, to get everything set up. Number 2 is discipline. You're gonna wanna monitor your results. And we talked about this, I'm a little uncomfortable with it. The minimum amount that you should be doing this is quarterly, but really as much as you can. We're optimizing our accounts, and I say we, look at it, Jansen. Jansen's optimizing our accounts pretty much around the clock. And so you want to be able to have that discipline to be able to do that yourself. Because if not, you're not going to know what the overall effectiveness, you can lose track of the strategy. There's things that can go wrong. So you just want to make sure that you keep an eye on that. And then with everything, especially new things, you got to have a high threshold for risk. So in the beginning, you're just going to have to get comfortable with the knowledge that not everything is within your control. The digital landscape changes constantly. We're going to talk about that. Within the past week, we've seen a few changes that have taken place. And so there's going to be things that are going to change that are outside of your control, and it's okay. And then also understand your results are going to be slow at first as you continue to optimize your campaigns. So time, discipline, and then a high risk threshold. Jason, I think I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Michael. And I love that checkpoint. Those factors are so important when you're considering thinking about whether you can handle this marketing in-house or if you want to outsource it. We feel and studies show that marketing is essential for businesses to be successful. And so starting with those considerations, that should really be your first step. Today, we're going to talk about your Google business profile. Simple, but very, very important. Your online business listings. We'll talk some search engine optimization or SEO. While I feel like SEO can be that daunting kind of black box part of digital marketing, there are some steps you can take to ensure you have a great foundation, and we'll discuss those today. We'll talk about pay-per-click or PPC, Google ads, Bing ads, and then we're going to talk about some local service ads and touch on social media as well. So a lot of those things that you guys asked, we should touch on today, and hopefully be able to get your feet wet a little bit with this. One thing that you did not see me mention there is the elephant in the room, and that is AI. And so AI is an absolutely great resource for you in your marketing efforts. Tasks that can be easily automated and do not affect the experiences of families is a great use for it. We like to say, work smarter where you can and harder where it counts. Do not give away that personal touch in favor of convenience. And so it's vitally important, and that cannot be understated enough to not lose that personal touch. Google wants unique, relevant, and trustworthy content. If you said, hey, I want to build a website, and you had Google write all the copy for that website, you're not going to rank well. Google can easily tell it's not authentic, and users can too. So As it stands today and for the foreseeable future, human written content is going to outperform anything that AI can generate. And so it's so important to put your touch in your marketing efforts.
Copywriters around the world will rejoice at that. Well, but it is true, right? Google has always said we want uniquely authored content, and uniquely authored content ranks better. And if we thought Google was paying attention to it, it appears that AI is also paying a lot more attention to that also. So if you go to AI to write your copy and you're feeding it into AI, it's kind of like a circular reference. It's not going to rank as well as you want. So
yeah, and you know, it pulls its information from online. And so if you're saying, hey, write me some information about funeral service, it's going to pull that from all those people that provide information about funeral service. So again, your human written content is so important.
If I can, there is a question that says, what about optimizing for AI? And I guess that is beyond writing original things.
Yeah, I have some theories on optimizing for AI, and I would call them theories at this point because everything is so new.
Kind of in the wild west still with it, but
yeah, we are. And I think one of the best things that you can do, it is well-written, unique content, and then getting your story out in as many places online as you can. Have videos about your business, have display ads, have PPC, have blogs. AI pulls its information from online, and so you need to disperse your information in as many places as you can, in as many relevant places as you can. That way, AI has more places to pull from.
And if you're maximizing what we're going to talk about today too, like for the Google Business Profile, that's going to set you up very well for AI. AI also seems to be relying heavily on reviews, not just Google reviews, but others. And so Google reviews aren't going to go away. I know not a lot of us love them, but they're not going to go away. They're very important. And so we'll touch on that throughout here, even though it's not the core focus of this.
Yeah, and it really comes down to, and all the research that I've done, because obviously it's been top of mind for us, fundamental SEO, fundamental digital marketing is the best way to optimize for AI still. It's not a secret tool or there's not a secret, way to jump to the top. Really, it comes down to fundamentals.
Yeah. Oh, and this elephant in the room.
The second elephant in the room, which we keep our ear to the ground on, and I'm sure that some of you have heard of, and not taking any sides on this, our data might suggest otherwise later, but there is a case, the US versus Google. Google has really monopolized search and search advertising, or at least that's what the US is alleging. If something does come of this, it's going to change things a lot, but I also think that it's not going to be hard to find. And so keep your eye on what's happening, keep your ear to the ground, and just as we are. And then the question here is, what should we be doing in anticipation of this? And the short answer is start now and do what you can. Either if it's DIY or working with an agency, ensure you're building your digital presence.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that drive me crazy about Google, but they are the best.
Yeah,
they are. It is the best. And so we'll see what happens with the lawsuits and everything. But as you're about ready to talk about, it really dominates the market.
Yeah. Pulse check here, just to make sure everybody's paying attention. What are the 3 resources you need in order to DIY your marketing?
A little clue is that I talked about those. Let's see if people were, there we go. Time.
There's one. Software. Not mentioned, but true.
Discipline.
True.
All true.
And
risk. Those are the 3. Yeah, risk tolerance.
Let's see what else comes through. If anything else does.
I think it just
that's it. Oh, one more.
Time.
Oh,
there it is.
That's it. Thank you for paying attention. We will and monitoring all these things. We're going to move on here. All these things are so true. So thank you guys for paying attention and bringing some things to light as well. The next thing we're going to talk about, not picking sides here, but throughout this presentation, we're going to reference Google quite often, and the question is why. As of 2023, Google is still dominating, or Google was dominating search, and as of 2025, it still is. But there's something interesting happening here. It is going down. So in fall 2023, it was at 91.85%. Spring of this year, it was at 89.66%. And then just a few weeks ago when I last checked, it's down to 89.57. And so you're thinking 2 percentage points here, but when there's 13 billion searches happening every single day on Google, to Google, that's huge. And so let's not think that Google is not paying attention to this. They know this is something that they cannot ignore. And one thing to understand about Google, and this has been the truth for everything they've released, they are rarely the first to market with any new technology. They really prefer to let others launch, watch what works, watch what doesn't work, and then be the best at it. And so that's exactly what they're doing right now with AI, and they're going full steam ahead.
It's kind of how they began. Google, many don't realize that Google was not the first to market in the search business. They were actually number 15 in the search business, and they quickly dominated from that point moving forward. And so they've been observing, and some of this AI stuff, I know we're going to talk about bringing it back, how some things have changed recently also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like within the past couple of weeks.
And they were 15th to market, and now they have 9 out of 10 searches every day on the internet. So without a doubt, they usually dominate when they decide to do something. And Google's doing that exact same thing with AI. And I'm going to talk about a few things and jump ahead a little bit, but Google already has tools that can take notes for you. It can answer complex questions. You can create high quality videos. And from my perspective, specifically within the last few months, they're offering some of the best AI tools out there. A great example of an adaptation they've made and really made full within the past couple of months is AI overviews in search. And so this is when you see that ChatGPT style answer at the top of your search results. We started rolling that out last year to a select group of people using Google. Now it's available to everyone. So if you ask a question to Google that maybe is a little open-ended or requires some context, you're likely going to see that AI overview. Staying on this topic a little while, what does that mean? AI responses now sit above everything else. And so we're going to talk about real estate on the internet and the search engine results page. But now you're first going to see AI, then the ads, then the local map packs, and then all the way down there at the bottom, we'll start to see organic results. And so it's really shifting how that looks.
Well, they've just recently incorporated ads within the AI overviews also.
Yes, and that's a great point out there.
They're really good at capitalism.
Yeah, and let's not lose sight of the real goal here, and that is to make money. Just recently as well, it's just great timing for this webinar, but we're starting to see AI overview ad placements for things like travel and itinerary, shopping and product discovery, and local services. And so we are obviously keeping our ear to the ground and making sure that we are doing everything we can to ensure that our partners appear there. This is going to be a recurring theme, and I'm going to say it a lot, but I mean, the whole theme of this is DIY, but now more than ever, it's crucial to be in the right position, use every tool that Google offers, and stay ahead of how the platform is evolving. Great example, I went on vacation last week, got back in Monday morning into Google Ads, and everything looked a little different, and that is within 1 week. So I was prepared for this. I've been researching it, but that's how quickly things can change. And so always important to subscribe to some type of newsletter or do everything you can if you're going to do this on your own to at least read 15 minutes in the morning and stay up to date.
I know people are dying to read about this every day, Jansen.
Well, I am. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the real estate on the internet, search engine results page, SERP. You may hear some people refer to it as. I don't use that term too often, but I probably will now I've said that. But just like choosing the right location for your funeral home was a vital decision, establishing and maintaining your presence in the digital landscape, especially on the search engine results page, is equally critical. Unlike a location or a building, though, it's constantly changing, and so you have to pay attention to it and be aware of it. And so first thing to remember as we look through this, the search engine results page, or SERP, is designed specifically for you. It's not designed for everyone. Google considers your search history, your behavior, your location to show results that are most helpful to you. For example, you're in a new city or you're on vacation and you type in sushi restaurant near me. On your phone, Google will likely show you a map first, and then because it knows you're looking for directions, and then we'll also show you a button to click to call because you may want directions and you may want to call ahead. Google will consider all that context when it shows you a result. tying this back into Google's push into AI. Just a quick snippet on this. This is the AI overviews have led to a rise in what's called zero-click searches. So people do a search on Google now, get all the answers they need, and then leave. They don't click anything. And so this means for you as a business owner, as a funeral home owner, you need to do everything that you can to appear in as many places as possible. And we'll talk a little bit about how to get there through SEO.
Yeah, when you think about Google, as compared to say social media is a connection-based platform. People go there to connect with people they know, see pictures, post about things and all that stuff. So they go there to connect, whereas Google, it's an intent-based platform. So you go there for one of two reasons, research or buy something, right? And so we're talking about those who are probably just researching at that stage, right, Jansen? And they're not clicking?
Yes, definitely. And if they're researching and you're able to provide that answer, then they're going to be more likely to choose you when they are for that fully intent-based search and really ready to make a decision. And we'll just mention this, how do you show there? Well, if you want to show in those AI overviews or the people also ask section, you need to have properly structured website, the back end. I'll explain a little bit how to do that later, and full of relevant, helpful content. When somebody goes to your site, if they go to your site, you need to have the information that they want and that they need right there available to them, because AI is doing that same thing. It wants the information that it needs right there available to them.
And you make a good point, Jansen, too. And this kind of, again, we're talking a lot about AI, but there's a saying that you have structure on your website. So all that content, you have to have that structured for the machines.
Yes.
So for search engines, but then you got to write content for humans to read, right, and consume. Yep. And so I think that's an important tip.
Yeah, and continuing on this real estate, talked about AI overviews, yet another new tool for that.
We were talking about real estate on the market, talking about the importance of Google business profiles, talking a little bit about AI.
And the AI overview. And so as I want to mention with the AI overviews, continues to push things further and further down the page. I don't think I mentioned that yet. And so having that properly structured content showing up in those AI overviews is essential. And then as you think about SEO, it was always traditionally said that you had to be in that top 10 to be on the first page. As things continue to get pushed down, that top 10 isn't going to be good enough anymore. That top 5 may not even be good enough anymore. So you really are looking to that top 1 to 3 spots to even show up in that first page organically for SEO. And in my opinion, AI is going to continue to widen the gap between businesses like you all who are here, who believe in and invest in marketing, and those that don't. And so again, as I've said once, and we'll say again, now it's more important than ever to learn these basic skills, and we're happy to be here and share them with you. Looking here, we'll just give a quick overview of the page itself because we've been talking about it so much. Here at the top, what you're seeing are the local service ads, and so these are the pay-per-lead model ads. We use trial lawyers near me because that's an incredibly competitive space in the market, and we get to show you everything that could appear. The one thing you're not seeing here is an AI overview, but that would appear above this, and I continue to push everything down. We have your sponsored ads, your pay-per-click ads here, and then we have the map ads here as well. Moving down the page, you're going to see more of your local map pack. This is typically 3 results that show here, and so you want to be in the top 3 of that local map pack. Here we have the people also ask. It's so interesting. This used to be at the top right underneath the search bar, and look how far it's gotten pushed down. And then finally, after everything that I've mentioned here, we get to your organic results. And so what does this mean for you? You need to try to do your best to show up everywhere and set yourself up to show up everywhere. Perfect.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. Digital listings and Google Business Profile. So a digital listing, we'll mention briefly, we're going to focus on the Google Business Profile, but a digital listing is any online entry where your name, address, phone number, or you may hear that referred to as NAP data appear. These include directories like Google, Bing, Yelp, Apple Maps, and many others out there. But we're going to focus on the Google Business Profile. Why? Because 9 out of 10 searches still happen on Google. Your Google Business Profile is more than just a listing. It's the most important digital asset. It is your most important digital asset, and in some cases, more important than your website. Why? Because many users will find all the information that they need right there on that Google Business Profile. As you can see in this result here, you're seeing call, you're seeing when they're open, you're seeing their website, what services they offer, and some reviews. So why would they need to go farther than that? And then even some photos of your business. Thinking about this and thinking about mobile, it's important to mention mobile here. 60 to 7% of all traffic from websites come from mobile. And so making sure that your Google business profile is updated for mobile, the mobile experience and having all of that necessary data in there. And then making sure that whenever you think about your website, which we aren't talking about here, but when you're thinking about your website, making sure that it's mobile first.
And the Google business profile really is your hub for online marketing.
Yeah.
You've got to keep that optimized. It's constantly changing. I mean, we've seen Google experiment with different, even within funeral homes, with obituary links and things like that on the Google business profile.
Yeah.
And so take nothing away, make sure that you take that away. And Google loves it when you're active with it.
Yeah, most definitely. And we'll talk about how to optimize that. And then just one last takeaway too, if we're going to have one more here. This listing is often the first impression that your business makes. And so as we all know, that first impressions are huge. So make sure that your Google business profile is something that you can be proud of. We're going to do one more question to make sure everybody's paying attention here. Do you have access to your Google business profile? Let's see what we get here. Nice.
Good. I think the takeaway from this one is if you don't, you want to make sure that you do obtain access and make sure that you keep primary ownership of that Google business profile because you don't want anybody else to ever get in trouble. That's core to your marketing, right?
Yeah.
Like talking outline there.
No, that's perfect. And if you don't have access, what you'll do is just search for your business by name. It will appear on the side, and there's a button that says claim your business. And then you'll go through the process and claim your business, and then it will be yours. I would say that if you don't know, check through your Gmail accounts and just search Google Business Profile because you have to claim it with a Gmail. And so when you go through that, you may find it in there. And for those who have someone on my team does, make sure that they're doing the things we're going to talk about on the next slide. And if you do, you should as well. Digital listings. Did that go backwards?
Nope.
Okay. There we go. Continue. When it comes to your Google business profile, your primary goal is to appear in that local map pack and provide all the necessary information and appear first. The top section of the Google search results with the map, that really, with the map, that's the local map pack. As you can see here, and I think it's worth noting, you can see that this search was done on a mobile phone. As I said, no search is alike. We're not seeing website or directions request. We're seeing the business, review, open 24 hours, and then call. Why? Because you're not going to see that call on your desktop because nobody's going to be calling from their desktop. And so keep that in mind. And if you don't have the right phone number in there or something like that, or one of your listings is messed up with it, or one piece of information is messed up in that Google business profile, then they may not be able to call your business.
And even your store hours are important. Right, Jansen?
Yes, and when you think about this, your store hours, you need to have positive reviews. Try to get an overall rating of 4.5 stars or higher. They need to be true, authentic reviews, though. They can't just be everybody in your family or every person that you know leaving you 5 stars. They need to be true people that come into your business. Google will notice if you're doing something fishy, and we'll leave it as simple as that. And so really make sure that you have true, authentic reviews. And then you need to have great photos and occasional updates. You can post to your Google business profile. Say you have something going on with your business or an event, you can post that right to your Google business profile. It's fairly user friendly, and so it's something that you would be able to do if you have the time. And then updating and putting great photography in there really makes that experience for the user better. Google is constantly learning from that user behavior. So if people click on your profile and it has update, good info and reviews, you're more likely to appear high. And so really when we say optimize your Google business profile, keep it accurate, keep it active and aligned with what families are looking for. We'll talk here about SEO. SEO is a simple but powerful. The goal is simple but powerful. Appear number one. Organic search is still one of the most ROI positive places to be in digital marketing. It generates long-term visibility, builds trust, and drives traffic without paying for every click. Historically, ranking in the top 10 meant you were there, but now, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be in that top 1 to 3, because let's be honest, and based on some data, only 1% of people ever go to page 2. And so if you're not in the top page, you're not being seen. So keep that in mind whenever you're optimizing. How do you improve your SEO? There's a few key areas to focus on. I'm sure you've heard some of these before, and some of them might feel like something you can't do, but there's a catch to that. Use the right search phrases. Include natural keywords in your content. Funeral homes near me, you can't use that naturally, so you would say funeral home located in St. Charles. That way, when somebody's in St. Charles types in funeral home near me, they find you. You can also boost your performance with strong SEO fundamentals, a fast site speed, on-page content, as I mentioned, and back-end website structure, like metadata, titles and descriptions, URL structure, schema markup. Getting a little jargony there, but we'll explain one thing. The title is this blue part, and so you can ask your website provider to make sure you have a strong title, and then the description is this regular text here below that. Make sure that's updated.
And that's part of the metadata.
That's right? Part of the metadata. And then this URL structure and schema markup allows you to appear in the people also ask section that we talked about earlier. And here's the best part, as I even mentioned once before, you don't have to personally know how to do this. Challenge your website providers to make sure that, hey, is my metadata optimized? Can you help me rank in local results or the people also ask area? They're going to know what you're talking about, or maybe ask you a question, and so they're going to be able to help you out. In today's market, SEO is visibility, and visibility is everything. So it's important to keep your ear to the ground on that. Pay-per-click advertising. This is really where I cut my teeth in marketing. Still one of my favorite things to work on. These are business-driven clicks that really generate results, not just traffic. Your goal is to appear number one and drive business. And so I'm going to fly through this, but I want to talk about it, what it actually looks like to set up and run your own PPC campaign, sign into Google Ads, add your business information, what keywords you want to show up for, add ad copy, location you want to target, and budget. Here's a quick warning. Say you sign off this and you go straight to Google Ads and do this. It's going to guide you into what's called a smart campaign. Those are designed to be hands-off, so if you're short on time, it might make sense, but you lose a lot of control. As we mentioned, time upfront investment is key. So instead, I recommend going through the process, setting up your campaign manually, and then optimizing it, which we'll talk about on that next slide. Now your campaign's live, and so we're getting into the weeds here, but I think it's worth it. Ongoing monitoring and optimization is key. And so one of the most valuable tools that you have, I'm not going to go through all the tools in the back end of Google, but there is one cool tool called the search term report. You're going to want to look through that and look for two things. So the search term report shows you exactly what people typed in when your ad appeared, and you're going to look for two things in there: negative keywords. Example of that would be for pet cremation near me. If you don't offer pet cremation, you're going to add a negative keyword for pet cremation. And then there's new keyword opportunities. And so, for instance, if you notice people starting to type in funeral home in my area, or where can I do a funeral, those are strong transactional searches, and you need to add those as keywords. Next.
For the record, where can I do a funeral is a popular search term that you proved me wrong with.
Yeah. Was happy to do so. I'm joking. You also want to monitor your budget. You know, Google will flag you if you're limited by budget 9 out of 10 times. I can count on one hand when they have said you're not spending enough. I mean, or when they're saying when you're spending too much, they really want you to spend that money. And then focus on your ad copy performance. Headlines and descriptions that mirror the language people type in are going to be more likely to be clicked on. And just a quick pro tip: even the smallest adjustment in ad copy, like more conversational language or swapping in key phrases, can drive better results over time. So as we mentioned, monitoring and measuring results is key. Local service ads, we have these listed as a new type of ad. We know they've been around for a while, but I would still call them relatively new for funeral homes. These are the type of ad that you only pay when someone actually calls your business, usually asking about pricing or services. Google uses its own tools to determine whether this call qualifies as a lead. You get to provide feedback, and so there's a little loss of control there. If you provide feedback and you say that it's not a lead, and then Google says, well, yes, it is, well, there's no way to keep going back and forth with them. And so you do lose a little control on that, and that can be costly in those places where it's $100 per lead. There are some benefits. It does come with a Google Guarantee badge. It builds trust and credibility, and then also they are generated or focused on generating phone calls. So we've tested these with firms across the country. Results vary by market. I think it's worth getting in there, going through the steps and testing it.
Yeah, and this is something that was actually paused, like we couldn't create a new account for, I don't know, quite a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And then just within the past 2 weeks, funeral services allowed them to create new funeral home accounts and local service ads.
Yeah,
So if you tried more than 2 weeks ago, you probably weren't able to do it, but if you tried today, you can.
you can. Update.
Okay, yep.
Social media, let's talk about it, specifically Facebook. You know, that's really where your demographic lives. Most funeral home audiences are Gen X and Boomers. This is their #1 social media platform. It's absolutely great for building brand awareness in your local community. And then we're going to keep it simple, but boosting a post is one of the simplest things you can do. You go online, you post something about an event that you're having or anything of that nature. You'll see a button here that says boost post. Once you do that, you type in the location you want to target, the age group, and some interests that they may have. Just a quick tip, maybe they're interested in retiring, you can choose that, or maybe they're parents of adult children. Those are the types of granular targeting you can do with Facebook. So really what you want to do is reach new people with that and keep your business top of mind. The great part about social media, you can get in the weeds with it, but you really don't need to be a marketing expert. Some of the most powerful things you can post are you in the morning having a cup of coffee or what is your day like, something like that. It's simple, cost effective, and a really great way to stay connected with your local audience. We talked about tactics, flew through them a little bit. All those things are definitely something that you can do, but let's talk about where to begin with your marketing strategy. And so when you're thinking about this, the first thing to do is evaluate your marketing landscape. And so who are your competitors? What is the opportunity? And that's going to help you determine how much you need to spend. This graph really says it all. The opportunity in your market, the more opportunity, the more competitors, the more you'll need to spend. The 5 factors, 5 key variables, I would say, are your goals. Are you focused on call volume, market share, or launching a value brand? Competitors, the opportunity. So when you think about opportunity, think about a funeral home in your area closing. That's a brand new opportunity for you. The market, are you in an urban or a rural area, and population density. Typically, higher population means more search activity. It also means more competitors, and that means your budget really needs to stand out. And so if you're in a highly competitive market, you're going to need to spend more.
Yeah, if you're in a rural community, population density matters, right? Because you can burn a lot of cash where you don't need to. Yeah,
and that comes down to Google really continuing to recommend spending more, and you may not need to. And so I would recommend going online, getting in an incognito mode on your browser, especially if you're in a rural area. See if ads appear, see if local service ads appear. How are your competitors showing? That's a great way to do a little competitive research. I would say if there's not a ton of ads appearing, there might be a different method for you outside of PPC.
Yeah.
And then thinking about budget, a good benchmark based on what consultants say, 5% of your total revenue should be allocated to marketing. That's a solid starting point for determining where you want to be. Another question here, and when you're considering all 5 of those variables, it's important to ask, do you prioritize call volume or do you prioritize market share? Even if you're satisfied with both right now, marketing is still essential. Competitors are actively marketing and shifting strategies in your area. Service values may be decreasing and impacting your revenue, and national direct cremation providers, we know they're popping up everywhere, and so it's important to make sure that you are being aware of that and marketing against them. AI is going to continue to widen that gap. I think it makes marketing more important than ever. And then another note on marketing, maybe this will hit home with you guys out there working. It's not just leads. It's if you're consistently telling a story, a compelling story online about the value of your service, you're doing more than just driving calls. And here's why that matters. When a family walks in the door, they're informed. They trust your brand and they've seen you online. Your arrangement conversation becomes reinforcement, not persuasion, and that leads to a higher average value per call. Bottom line, marketing isn't just about lead generation, it's about setting the tone and elevating the value of the services you provide. A word of caution, you've heard me say it a few times, Google likes money. I'm on calls with Google every month, and every single one of them, at the beginning, at the middle, at the end, and in between those times, they ask me if I can spend more money. And so always know that they're trying to get you to spend more. And so if you're DIYing your ads, you can save on those management fees you get from an agency, but you're opening the door to overspending. And so that's why this second bullet matters so much. Don't forget to measure your results, track what people are searching for, watch your click-through rate, your cost per click, and then make adjustments based on those.
Speaking of cost per click, just because you have a high cost per click does not mean that your pay-per-click is ineffective. I mean, it actually could mean quite the opposite.
Yeah, I would argue in that case that it means it probably is effective. You know, if you have a great campaign structure, you're getting a ton of leads in and your cost per click's high, then that means you're showing up for really relevant searches. If you have all of those things and then your cost per click really starts to rise, you might have competitors moving in the market. So cost per click is not just a sole determiner of performance. It really should be leads.
Like if you're targeting a low cost per click, you're probably not reaching the right people.
Yeah, you're probably reaching people looking for obituaries, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was what my brother accused me of.
I have a question that's come up. I've got a couple. May I throw them at you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So this one's long. I'm going to read it. In my marketing, I've learned some audiences are afraid to share their name, phone number, or email address on a landing page. What are some other ways I can find out directly who is clicking on my ad messages and converting likes and clicks into tangible info I can add to build a lead list to follow up on?
I think at a bare minimum, you got to have a name and a phone number. And I know that they may be uncomfortable with that, but continuing to find ways to shorten the forms that you present is an absolutely great way to do that, or just focus on phone calls only.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I would consider. Number one, sorry, I'm leaning off my screen to make sure that I'm near the microphone so I'm not too echoey. One would be look at the form and what are you requiring? You know, when you look at basic market research, what they tell you is less is more. So the less information that somebody needs to provide, the more you're going to get. So if you're requiring both an email and a phone number, both of those could result in people abandoning the page and leaving the page. If you require one of those, maybe that will help. That's what we've seen. And we make phone, when we have forms, we make phone, mobile phone optional. And I think we still get about 80% completion rate on mobile phones. What you need to be careful of is there are companies who are going to say that they can track people by putting code on your website. And that's a very risky situation when it comes to consumer privacy. And Google is cracking down on that. And so we've seen that kind of come up, but we've actually seen that really die off too.
Yeah, a year ago, about a year ago, you were asking me about that. And I think that while it does give you the information you need, I just think it's too risky because there's going to be privacy. In Europe, there's all these privacy laws. California is going to start something and then really move it all over across the United States as they typically do. So I just think that's a risk that maybe isn't worth taking if you're taking data that people don't know that you're taking.
And then the last thing I would add is if you're offering people an opportunity to request information, think about the copy that you have, the call to action that you have, and then the quality of the content. Is it something that people want? Is something they're interested in, those types of things as well. And so if you have good stuff that you can offer, you should have more success with people truly wanting to do that. Now, you're still gonna have people that will type in Mickey Mouse or whatever for their names, and that's okay. If you get their email and you can start a relationship with them, that's a good start.
Yeah, and that can't be understated. Offer them something. Even if it's a free planning guide, it still says free in it. You know what I mean? You may not think that's the most exciting thing, but they're getting something out of it. And so that's really going to help get those through to you as well.
And the next question that I have is, What do you think is the best way to reach our target for pre-need and final expense? Online social ads or direct mail? What do you think is the most successful?
I'll let you take the start of that. I have an opinion. I think ours are different.
Well, this will be interesting. That's a good question. So social media can be a very effective tool for generating pre-need ads. And so you would do that through boosting different ads and things like that, but it also involves offering content with a strong call to action to generate interest. What were you going to say?
I was going to just say that I can't tell you that one is the best. Neither of them are going to work as well as they should without the other.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and so social is an absolutely great way, especially for like lunch and learns and seminars. That's a great way to get people in the door. But I also think a super tailored Google ad campaign with a great giveaway on that form is something that could really help you as well.
And actually,
Oh, go ahead, Tony.
I have a question that came up in my head because it's something I'm actually writing about this week anyway. One of the things that it appears from what you've said is there's a future where Google looks a lot like Facebook, where if you pay, you get attention, and if you don't, you don't, and everything else is kind of, a roll of the dice. Does that sound right? Does that sound close? Does that sound like the future, or am I way off?
I feel like Google is pay to play now. I think that their main goal is revenue. They tout relevance, and so that is without a doubt something vitally important. But I think if you're trying to really grow your business, they're going to want you to spend a little money.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Excellent. Thank you.
All righty, those are absolutely great questions. Thank you so much for sending those in, everybody. When to phone a friend. This is so important to mention. Yes, we talked about a lot, and I got into the weeds, like just the very beginning of the weeds on some of those things. And so do not look at marketing like a mountain you can't summit. Once you begin the climb, the path becomes clearer. You'll realize that all those tools and everything we talked about today offer steps along the way to help you. Google Business Profile has a completion score. Get that to 100%. Google Ads has an optimization score. Get that to 100%. So if you have the time, discipline, and risk tolerance, my advice is really simple. Sit down and start. Marketing is not effective at all if you aren't trying. And so how do you know when it's time to bring in a partner? If you're not tracking results or you don't know where to find it, if you can't find click-through rate or cost per click or anything like that in Google Ads and you just feel stuck, great time to reach out. If you don't have the time or discipline, if you can't benchmark your performance, for example, the average click-through rate for funeral homes on Google Ads is 3 to 6%. If you aren't hitting that benchmark or you don't know where to find that benchmark, maybe you need to reach out to an expert. If you're managing a budget, it makes you uncomfortable. And so really all those things, marketing is essential, but it's inefficient. It's inefficient marketing waste dollars. Having a specialized team who lives and breathes this stuff is often the most efficient way to spend your budget and see consistent, measurable results.
Something else that we haven't really mentioned though is when you look at the data, you do have to have an analytical tilt to you and really enjoy looking at numbers. And not everybody enjoys looking at spreadsheets like I do. And so if you feel overwhelmed by the data or you're having trouble with the story that the data is telling you, that would also be a good time to phone a friend.
The other side of the coin, and I think this is so important to mention and something we've talked about a lot, no marketing strategy is complete without offline and online tactics. Remember, you're a local business, just like a restaurant, a bakery, your favorite diner. These businesses thrive on community involvement. So join the chamber, attend church and community events, show up, stay visible, be involved. These offline tactics don't just build trust for you and your funeral home, they fuel your digital efforts too. When people see your name online and they can put a face to that name or a handshake they remember with you, they're so much more likely to click on you and reach out. community connection drives awareness, and awareness drives results online and offline. We're going to dive right into, oh, Michael, you got something?
Well, I was just going to say, I put that long note where we were talking about a partner funeral home that we were going to run a campaign on, and you said, I don't want to run it if they're not going to commit to some of these event activities.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just goes to the level of focus that you have the digital guy who's saying, we shouldn't spend that money unless they're going to do a few of these other things to make sure that they work together.
Yeah.
And so that's really the way that you want to be thinking about things.
Yeah.
While we transition, I have another question. Is
Yeah.
TikTok a marketing tool funeral professionals should be using?
Did you say TikTok?
Yes.
It's getting there, closer than it was a year ago. I think that I'd say we're close to there. I don't know what the right answer is. I'm not going to claim to be the expert on that, but I do feel like I have seen more funeral professionals on there and being successful with it. It's still, in my opinion, and based on research, an organic platform. So an agency can do things for you, but content that you're able to post and have your staff post on there and do that work yourself, which takes a lot of time and discipline, is going to outperform anything that really a marketing company can do, because they're just not in that paid space quite yet.
Well, then you also got to ask, who's on TikTok? Is it the silent generation, baby boomer generation, Gen X, et cetera? Probably not as much yet, but if they begin to transition into TikTok, then, and your community is on TikTok, then it makes great sense to be on there. And it can be used to tell stories and educate and inform, and so really effective for that. But right now, generally speaking, our target demographic's not there.
Yeah, and I would agree. And if you're looking at really using your budget most effectively, I feel like that's a extra budget type of place to market. And really, it's organic, and there's a lot of legwork to be successful on TikTok. I worked at the University of Cincinnati for a while. We were on that same thing, and our demographic definitely was there, and the legwork there was intense.
It sounds to me actually like it's almost like a hybrid between more like the event things you were talking about, like being out in the community, as opposed to something as opposed to something that was more measurable.
Yeah, there's definitely things you can measure on there. It's just not a pay-to-play space quite yet. It's a have great content space.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just a little bit, whenever you are ready to reach out, shameless plug, as Michael might say, a little bit about At-Need Marketing. We're a full service marketing agency that supports funeral homes with complete offline and online strategies, with custom creative, data-driven campaigns, show-stopping videos, and effective online marketing strategies. You can see our services listed over there. We really focus on that multi-channel marketing, making sure you show up in as many places as possible, and we want you to be your community's go-to funeral home. So scan this QR code if you want to learn more about us. And if you really want to talk to Michael directly, you can scan this and get right on his calendar as soon as tomorrow. And so thank you all so much. I really enjoyed talking about all these things and just offering tidbits of information. There's one thing I saw that we didn't mention, and it sticks out to me, was retargeting. Super quick tip on that. Research says retargeting is a little stronger on Facebook than Google. So think about that. You can retarget on Google, but if I was going to go down a pattern of research and I want to start targeting, I would go social and then I would go Google if I was just wanting to learn more about it.
Excellent, and thank you so much for joining us. Let's take a second and see if there are any questions left. People have kind of been asking questions all along. I don't know if anybody has any, but we'll take a second and see, I guess. In the meanwhile, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was about getting the younger demographics and kind of getting the message out to them. What are some of the ways that's to kind of cultivate them before, or to make them ready to be your customers, I guess?
Yeah, I think TikTok, and there are things like that where you can reach the younger demographic, of course, and it's really telling that story and being in places where they are. But I think the first thing that comes to mind is offer great service. because that's the first place oftentimes for many of us throughout life where we begin to experience, we experience a loss when we're young. And that's our first interaction with the funeral home. And to me, that's the crucial part of it. Offer great service when you're involved in the community and they get to meet you and your staff out in the community and building those relationships. That's also vitally important. You know, oftentimes when it comes down like marketing budget, how much budget do I have? Typically targeting the younger generation is not necessarily in the cards. But those are just some things that that immediately come to mind.
And I'll mention one quick thing because it's just on my mind. I remember very specifically, like my grandmother's funeral. There was a person on every single corner of that whole funeral home ready to, like, I was going to the bathroom. I knew where the bathroom was. 2 people asked me if I needed help. And so, as Michael said, and it's funny that it's what he led with, great service is so powerful and creates lasting memories.
All right, I've got a couple more questions. One here is, what about YouTube as a marketing platform?
YouTube, we didn't mention YouTube. It can be a little bit more confusing or complicated to get into. YouTube shows on TV. I think it's got 10% of the TV market share in living rooms. Think about that for a minute. It is a powerful, powerful place. I don't know if you're on YouTube a lot lately, but commercials on YouTube or ads on YouTube have shifted from a guy standing next to his computer to full-blown Capital One or Geico ads. And so I do think that you need some high quality content to put on YouTube, but it is an absolutely great and affordable place to reach people in their living rooms, not just on their phones and on their computers.
And this says, my apology if this was asked. I don't think it was, but I think that you touched on this, but maybe didn't flesh it out the way that this questioner would like. How are you tracking, measuring SEO and how it relates to actual calls? So go ahead, you got it.
You can set up in Google Analytics call track, like phone call clicks, and then filter it by the source that it came in from. That's one way to do it. Another way is Google Business Profile offers analytics on the back end. That's SEO. It's local SEO, and so you can track your calls. Most important thing to do is don't look at it 1 month at a time. SEO is a long game, and so you want to look at that over a 6-month period. And are we trending up or are we trending down? If you're trending down, find ways that you can adjust that. Maybe it is changing your services, updating your service area on your Google Business Profile. And then you can also look in a tool called Google Search Console. That's another tool that Google offers for free to track your organic performance. When you're talking about direct leads and phone calls, you got to set those up in Google Analytics, and that can get a little bit difficult. But there's a tool out there that we mentioned. It's called ChatGPT. And so if you need some help doing that, I would reach out there.
Conversions, setting up conversions.
Yeah, setting up conversions on your website, and then back, like a lot of website providers can show you how many phone calls, clicks you've gotten. But again, I think that's something that you should look at over a long period of time.
Excellent. Then another question we have here is, when posting an event or notice on your Google page, is there a way to have that placed above the reviews, or does it have to be on a paid ad?
There's no, the order of the Google Business Profile page. It's interesting. I wouldn't call it static, but it generally is static, and so you're not going to be able to influence that. But Google changes it. I would anticipate if it's relevant to that searcher. I haven't found myself doing too many searches like that, but if it's relevant to that searcher, they'll probably move it up. And they wouldn't place it there if people didn't look at it. And so just know that even though it might not be in the place that you necessarily want it, Google puts it there for a reason, and people are looking at those. And then you should be able to see data on those on the back end.
Excellent. And does your firm create custom video content to be used on different platforms?
Yes, we do. So that's a short story. We were just talking about YouTube. So we from a video perspective, we offer high production value video. So that's when a video crew or creative director would bring their lights, drones, cameras, and all of that, and set up a traditional shoot, if you will. And everything would have been planned out in advance in terms of the messaging, the wireframes, all of that stuff. So we do that. But then we also offer what's called quick video content. And so this is content that our partners can film with their iPhones, upload it to our website, and then we can apply branding to it and then get it out into the internet, mainly through the Google Display Network, Facebook, et cetera, and then also Hulu. But yeah, that's also, it's a much more affordable type of video that actually there's data showing builds more trust than even the high production value video can do. So we offer a lot of those options, yes.
Excellent. And that appears to be it for the questions. So once again, thank you so much for spending the time and hanging out. And for people who are listening, or for people who know people who would like to have listened, this will be available tomorrow morning. We will send you an email with with a link to the edited version of this video, and you can forward that to people if you think that it's useful for them, and it will cost them their email address to get in, but that's all it will cost them. And that's it for today, unless you guys have any final words.
No, I just want to thank you, Tony, and your team there for putting this on, and thank everybody for joining us today. It was really an honor to be with you.
All right, and thank you all. We got to thank you all from the group, and we will say good night. So thank you, folks, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.